Trouble burning. All right. I will now call the order, Concord Township Board of Trustees, February 1st, 2017 meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call.
Mr. Malczewski?
Present.
Mr. Galloway?
I am here.
Mrs. Luda?
Here.
21st, 23rd minutes. Meeting minutes.
All good by me.
Okay.
Good.
Okay. Then we will approve those, and then we will table the remaining January 4th, January 18th minutes. Elected officials, fiscal officer.
Okay, as of January 31st, we were 8% of the way through the calendar year. The treasury balance for the 20 funds within the township treasury was $5 million. The balance also includes $310,000 in funds set aside for specific projects. Year-to-date expenditures were 14% of the temporary, the year-to-date temporary expenditures were 14% of the treasury balance for 2017. Revenue was 3%, so we will be slightly over budget until the real estate taxes come in during the month of March. I was in Columbus last week seeking my CPIM certification. The state treasurer's office requires I complete 6 hours of training annually. I was able to complete 4.5 hours. The auditor of state also requires an additional 12 credit hours be completed during my upcoming term, along with public records and ethics training. I completed that commitment. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to call our office at 354-7516. And I do have one other thing for those cemetery folks. We got some phone calls about trees being taken down in the cemetery. We had an arborist in, and he had identified some trees, specifically ash trees, that had to go. So they had to go. And
They went.
They went. So that's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Trustees. Connie? What do you
Nothing this time.
have? Chris?
Mr. Chairman, attended the Ohio Township Association annual conference in Columbus last week with Mrs. Dawson and Ms. Mitchell. And as part of that also took part in our Clout meeting and the Clout legislative reception, getting to meet and talk with our various legislators from around the state as it relates to township issues, especially focusing on large township issues, large townships and their issues, and pressing our legislative agenda, which has been formulated by the OTA board as well as the Cloud Executive Board.
Anything interesting to know about?
Yeah, I mean, I think things that affect that would actually, I'm very pleased with the agenda this year. I think it's much more focused and much more realistic in terms of what can be achieved. In some years, some things end up on the agenda, let's say, that come from some townships that are sort of out of left field that you know aren't going to have any chance of getting anywhere in Columbus. This time around, we do have some members of the House and Senate that are willing to carry some water on some bills. Examples are things like requiring ODOT for townships over 5,000 people to place our names actually on the exit signs. And a lot of people out there probably think, well, that's kind of an odd, silly thing, but currently under ODOT regulations, townships are not considered a place. So that's why when our folks get off at 44 and on I-90, they are welcomed with a sign that says Painesville this way, Chardon that way, even though Chardon has 5,000 residents to our 20,000. Yeah. So it's little. There's lots of things like that can really help identify, develop community. There's some issues as it relates to a bunch of stuff as it relates to home rule, getting more powers in terms of building code, subdivision regulations for home rule townships. There's a whole litany of things like that. And I have the legislative breakdown that I can provide you.
Let me ask you this. If they pass that stuff with regards to home rule, is that more significant than, I mean, certainly it's going to be more significant than what it holds now, but is it significant for us to take another look at that?
I believe so, and I think that Kathy and I sat through a home rule educational session, and we actually, according to the attorney that was giving the lecture, if we adopt home rule, we actually get to pick and choose when we pass our resolutions, whether we're doing them under home rule or under traditional statutory township regulations.
What would be the difference in that?
Well, I'm not 100% clear on that, so I think the thing to do
You gotta read, do you have to read like a city would have to read, and, the 3 reading rule under home rule?
I'm not sure of that. I think that might be the case. I think it might be. But we actually, Concord, other than not having adopted it, it basically qualifies without any added expense based on our current operations and standing in terms of budget and population. So it's something that we could adopt that would not, for some townships that don't have sheriff services and don't have legal counsel, they use their county prosecutor and don't do a bunch of things that we already do. There's a number of expenses involved, but these are things that we already do. So, my recommendation is if you want to do that, we could possibly have one of the gentlemen from the firm that gave the presentation on home rule, maybe have them come and meet with us and talk through some of this.
You just came back to the original statement about the ODOT and Concord Township's names on the exit signs. You would think that home rule would allow them to do that, without even changing their.
Well, but that's an ODOT decision. That's an example. That's an ODOT decision. So whether you're home rule or not, ODOT still wouldn't consider you a place. And the other issue on that is right now ODOT regulations allow the different districts to be the arbitrator of that. So there is one district in Southwest Ohio that has started to put townships on highway signs.
That's because they have a fairly big township.
Well, they have several of the largest, 60, 70,000 residents per township, which has probably created enough critical mass in terms of pressure that they've decided to do it, although nowhere else in ODOT no one else is doing that. So it also is a move to create some uniformity so that, one district's doing one thing, another's doing another. There's a legislative push to allow townships to set speed limits on their roads, on township roads, which is, even on township roads, we don't get to set the speed limits, the county engineer does. So, there's a lot of that stuff there before us.
Every time we look at it, I always wonder if we had more autonomy if we did something like that or not, and it just never seemed to be true.
It tends to be mostly about the quality of life issues that it would allow us to do certain things that municipalities do. But there's basically a list of 7 items that we cannot do as a home rule. So if it's not in that list of 7, according to this attorney, we would then be allowed to do it, which is, in the opposite of townships, unless ORC says we can, we can't. This flips it and says you have home rule except in these 7 things. Now, one of those 7 things is the biggest category for us, which comes back to subdivision regulations, road standards, building code, and all these other things that constantly vex us as it relates vis-a-vis the county.
So you're still going to have the county do that?
So unless that component, that bullet point of one of those 7 is legislatively removed, home rule probably still doesn't have as much draw for us as it otherwise would. But I think the big picture point would be that I think it's worth looking at again. I think it's worth sitting down, studying, and looking at again. And who knows, this legislative session, maybe those things that we're looking for home rule of that 7, specifically bullet point 4, as it relates to subdivision regulations, road standards, and everything else, maybe the legislature will strike that, and then that may be that extra incentive.
Okay. Good. I thought of something.
Yeah.
You and I went to the Eastern Lake County Chamber of Commerce dinner.
It was a good dinner.
Yes.
The chamber, which it used to be the Painesville Chamber, known as the Painesville Chamber, has combined with Madison and, did Perry have one too?
I think that was a combined one.
Madison Perry did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
it
yeah,
was
so now it's,
combined.
now it's just a whole east side
Right,
chamber, and it's very well attended, very nice.
very well done.
It is done on a Friday, so I did mention that seems to be a little unusual. They could do it on Thursday
Yeah.
night, but they said tradition. I said it can't be a very long tradition. You guys only been in existence for a couple of years, but
But
Well,
it's worth mentioning that the Citizen of the Year was Jeanette Crislip, who is a former Painesville Township trustee.
long-term
Yes,
person
but they
there.
said 28 years.
Mr. Chairman, I would also just point out that today, February 1st, is Ohio Township Day.
It is Ohio Township Day.
So all 1,301 townships are celebrating.
Yes.
All right, well, with my, my report, I have very little to report, but I am going to be meeting with Stormwater tomorrow, and I think that's significant. It's wintertime. We did have a little bit of a melt. There are several stormwater issues that have popped up throughout the year, and we will, both the service department, myself, and administration will be dealing with those issues with stormwater, making sure that we try to kind of set our agenda for the up and coming year. So we will do that. With regards to department reports, Kathy Mitchell, what do you got for us?
Well, just again to echo the attendance at the Ohio Township Association Conference, which was very well attended, especially by our Lake County neighbors.
Sure.
And I attended, aside from the limited home rule session, other related classes pertaining to building sustainable communities, communicating and working with the media, effective decision-making, the new JED law, which honestly, you know, I think the attorney that gave that presentation was very, very careful in what he presented, because there's no, it hasn't been tested, you know, so he was very uncertain in.
There's a test case sitting in Lake County right now.
Right.
Yes.
Really?
But nonetheless,
Yeah.
it was a good conference, good to network, and just, again, I think I always walk away from that conference feeling pretty good about where Concord is in terms of our, you know, our progressive mentality and just our, you know, forward thinking in terms of regulation and development. And there, you know, there's folks in southeast and southern Ohio that don't even have zoning, so walk away feeling pretty good. But that was the gist of the conference. And again, yeah, meeting with Stormwater tomorrow. Getting a lot of calls in the last few weeks about the homes that were taken down on Concord Hamden. And for those that are listening and are still concerned what that was, I mean, it was a project through a FEMA grant. Those are considered repetitive flood properties. They will not be redeveloped. So it is the intent of the.
That was a stormwater project.
Yes.
Yeah, and that was something that was on the agenda that took a considerable amount of time to get that thing rolling, just like the stormwater project that went on
Well, it wasn't just a stormwater
Quail
project.
Hollow.
It was also a township project.
yeah.
Headed up by administration, as well as significant resources thrown into the kitty, along with outside grants from this.
Well,
Concord.
let me be clear. I assumed, and I see stormwater in the stormwater department and the county engineers department, the sheriff's department is an extension partner of Concord Township. And part of our job, at least with stormwater, is that if you look in your tax bill, there's about $30 going into the stormwater fund every year from each resident, and then businesses they have a different calculation. It's our job to make sure that those dollars and cents are being used in Concord Township, being used for projects that, significantly benefit Concord Township as a whole, and trying to relieve some of the problems that exist there. And so, basically, where those homes were taken down is the result of the flooding that was occurring in that area from development upstream. And so we were able to use stormwater funds and FEMA funds and township funds to, eradicate that problem, use it to basically flood out that land that's there to protect other homes, further downstream, so. Anything else, Kathy?
That is it.
Anything else?
I'll stop.
You can continue to do it.
No.
Don't let me stop you.
I'm not going to filibuster this meeting.
Okay, fire department.
Good evening, everyone. For the month of January, we responded to a total of 211 events. We had 13 MVAs, 25 agency assists, 7 fire alarms, 27 basic rescues, 85 advanced paramedic rescues, 15 public assist, and 2 structure fires in Concord. And 8 calls for wires down. Our Fire Prevention Bureau was busy in January with 21 general inspections, 2 plan reviews, 2 information updates, a clean agent inspection, 5 follow-up inspections, 4 kitchen hood suppression system inspections, 6 fire alarm inspections, 1 site inspection, 2 fire protection inspections, 1 license inspection, 3 sprinkler systems inspection, and 1 state inspection. Our fire education division installed 3 residential lock boxes, which we have available, and they removed 2. We had 3 public education consultations, 1 special group special education, and 1 fire drill report for the month of January. So they're out doing it and getting busy, getting ready getting going on the year. For February, we want to remind you to help us find you. Keep your address numbers visible from all directions so emergency workers can find you, not just in the wintertime, but all year round. Make sure your walkways and driveways are clear so that we can get to you. And make sure your fire hydrants are clear of snow with a 3-foot clearing around the hydrant to make sure we have access to that hydrant. A lot of snow plow drivers, not French crewing excluded, they do a really good job at keeping the fire hydrants clear, but sometimes we run into trouble with snow plows burying fire hydrants. So we want to make sure everyone's aware of that. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Service department, Frank Trask.
Good evening.
All the snow melts,
Yeah,
snows again.
it's been up and down. This month served up the customary winter-related activities and a glimpse into spring with some above-average warmth and rainfall. During the month of January, Concord Service Department was dispatched on 21 runs to snow plow and de-ice roadways. Subsequently, we used approximately 1,000 tons of road rock salt during that period, bringing our total for this season up to 2,200 tons. On the average over the last 3 years, we've used approximately 3,200 tons for the entire season. And if you go back 5-6 years ago, that average used to be around 5,000. So we have begun practices to try to curtail that and become a little bit more sensible in our salting, as the term might be used. And it's safe to say that we are currently on par to see similar numbers for this winter season. The Service Department maintains approximately 150 lane miles of roadway on 6 primary routes, which takes approximately 3 hours to complete a round. In addition to the winter activities, we've also been filling numerous potholes that have developed due to the many freeze-thaw cycles that we've encountered with the temperature swings. We also have been able to cut down some elevated berms for better road drainage and performed a variety of building maintenance needs, and also contended with some drainage needs due to the heavy mid-month rain events. For any other information, please contact Concord Service Department at 440-350-3225 or visit our webpage at www.concordtwp for additional township information. And that is the Service Department report for this evening.
Thank you, Frank.
Thanks, Frank.
Appreciate it. Okay, zoning department. Heather Freeman. What's going on in zoning?
Hello. Good evening. For the month of January, the zoning department issued 18 permits and collected $1,865 in fees. Of the permits, we issued 5 for new single-family dwellings, and then 3 for accessory buildings, a couple pools, and then we also issued a change in use permit for a new restaurant that's going to be taking over some space in Concord Plaza. It's going to be a sushi and hibachi. So we don't know an announcement as to when they're going to open quite
Where's
yet.
that going to be?
They're taking over where Mocha Joe's was.
Okay.
So you can look forward to that. Hopefully in the next few weeks. They're renovating inside. And then also for the month of January, the BZA issued 1 conditional use permit for a commercial business on Cryle Road for some outdoor storage and display. And that's it.
Okay, thank you. Recreation department, Deborah.
Good evening, everybody.
Evening.
This afternoon, the 55-plus group was treated to a fun and informative presentation by Andy Avram from Lake Metro Parks on backyard birds. We learned how to attract specific birds to our yards, keep them happy so we can enjoy them all year long. And then everyone had pie, because if you come to a 55-plus group gathering, you always get dessert, and everyone is always welcome. And our next gathering will be Wednesday, February 15th at 1:30 at the Concord Community Center, when local historian Dennis Sutcliffe presents Bloody Corner and Beyond, which is the story of the Cleveland Mafia during the Prohibition era. That sounds really interesting. The Recreation Department has been hard at work.
Who's giving that?
Dennis Sutcliffe.
Yeah.
He's a local, he's been at the community center many times before. Great guy, wonderful speaker, just fascinating to listen to. The Recreation Department has been hard at work creating a variety of leisure classes for your enjoyment, and in February, our classes include power yoga, stained glass small panel project, handmade Valentine's cards, succulent gardening for beginners, ballroom dancing, photography from A to Z, learning Photoshop, Microsoft Windows for adults, kids cooking classes, mommy and me classes, essential oils make and take classes, and mixed media painting. There are still seats available in most of them, so please sign up soon. If you enjoy the outdoors in winter, be sure to register for our first annual snowshoe hike at the Old Stone School, Saturday, February 25th. Snowshoes are provided for this 1-mile hike, and afterwards enjoy the charm and the history of the Old Stone School with a guided tour. For details about any class or event, contact the Recreation Department directly at 440-639-4650 or visit our website at concordtwp.com. You can also learn about classes, events, and general township information on our cable station. For AT&T customers, choose Channel 99 and select Concord Township from the menu. And for Time Warner customers, choose Channel 96 and then up arrow to 96.2. And all of our classes and more information can be found in the winter-spring edition of the Concord Township newsletter, the Concord Grapevine, mailed to residents in early January, but now can be found on our website. And I am very happy and very excited to report that Concord Township has increased our presence on social media. We invite all Facebook users to like us at Concord Township, Lake County, Ohio. And if you're a tweeter or use Instagram, follow at Concord TWP Lake. By following us on social media, you can be the first to know about current township news and updates through our posts. And lastly, please keep in mind that the Concord Township Community Center is available for rent. Spring and summer weekends are booking up quickly, so contact us soon to reserve your date. You can view pictures of the community center on the township's website or stop by the center at 7671 Auburn Road for a tour and details. Thank you.
And all that social media stuff's on the website, right? So we can just ding in there?
Yes. Yeah,
Good.
and it'll be on the new website on that.
Yeah. We're really making an effort this year to really get out on social media. So if anybody's listening to us or watching us, please check out our website and please try to contact us through there. It's be a great way for us to keep in communication and probably let you have a good idea of what's going on in Concord Township or emergency situations. Concord Law Enforcement Report. Lieutenant?
Hello. How are we? Good, how are you? Not too bad.
For the month of January, we had 1,483 calls, 5 injury accidents, 22 property damage accidents. We had 5 arrests, those being an adult male for OVI on Interstate 90, a juvenile arrest for domestic violence, 2 adult males for domestic violence, and an adult female for domestic violence. We had 328 crime prevention contacts this month, 36 traffic citations, 146 warnings, 4 driving under suspension citations, and 1 operating a vehicle while intoxicated citation. We had 2 assaults investigations. These are new investigations we started. We had 4 breaking and entering to vehicles, a burglary, a bad checks complaint, a drugs complaint, a sex offense, 15 thefts, 2 threat complaints, and a vandalism complaint. And that's all we had. Just a reminder to the residents that keep your vehicles locked. At nighttime when you go to bed, close your garage doors. Those are always helpful things. And if you see something, say something, call us. We oftentimes hear people say that they don't want to bother us. That's what we're here for, bother us. If you see something that doesn't look right, call us. That's all I have.
Lieutenant Sherwood, I have seen something.
Okay?
I want to tell you. As you know, we've completed the Auburn Trial 44 Road project. And we have a plethora of folks. We've installed delineators on Auburn Road, right there past the light, just north of the light, past where Cryle intersects with Auburn. We still have a ton of people doing 270-degree illegal left turns to get onto 44. And since the delineators have gone, it's basically become, okay, we're not, most people are now not doing that, but now they're just turning around and red off. So we do need, and if you could report back to your office, that we really do need, when the patrols are out, serious heavy activity right in that location.
Yeah, we are aware of it.
I know there's been a couple times the guys have been out and they've done some ticketing, but I only want to stress, I think we need to do even more.
Right. Yeah, when we have a car available for that, we will certainly do that. But like I said, we're already aware of it. We're keeping an eye on it, and we're going to have to come up with some kind of solution to fix that because, the enforcement only works while the car's there. So as soon as they're gone. So
and we've added more signage, and we will be in the spring re-evaluating and looking at even more different types of signage.
And looking for suggestions from either your office or maybe the individuals that you pull over that would say, hey, I wouldn't have done this if I would have saw. Well, I think there needs to be road paint on there. I think there's need more signage.
I think that's going
road paint style.
That's going to be part of it. I think there was a discussion yesterday in staff about. I talked to a Painesville resident who had a relative was having a medical issue. Taking them to Tri-Point, they came up Auburn, didn't understand that the project was done and the change of pattern, and got into the right-hand lane and ended up right back on 44, went all the way back to Johnny Cake, turned around and came all the way back down to go to Tri-Point.
I did it the other day.
No, so I acknowledged to this person. I said, it's a very good point that we probably need to have some hospital signage on Auburn going south before you get to the interchange. So we're going to be doing things like that. And I understand that there's only, what I've been telling our residents is if the sooner we can get residents retrained and comfortable and used to the new traffic patterns, the better off. It's probably going to be near impossible to get I-90 folks, retrained. I probably until the GPS mapping units are updated with the new traffic pattern there, which I think will help. Somebody pulls in, they go to eat at Waffle House, and they come back out. Their GPS is going to tell them to go north. It's not. It has. I'm sure it hasn't been updated. Apple Maps and all the like of that. So until those things happen, we'll probably still be dealing with it. But anyway,
we'll definitely have some suggestions to correct that. Unfortunately, being as new as it is, coming up with a fast solution outside of us ticketing at this point. I don't think there's anything on the table. I know one of our sergeants has been in contact with ODOT about some of the issues up through there, especially I think the one traffic light is cycling on Capitol. So we're aware of it. We'll definitely.
Yeah, and there will be a
Definitely address the
reevaluation
concern.
of the traffic lights here as we get into early spring, as they see how the real world patterns are playing out.
We'll take care of it.
So
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a report coming from Auburn Career Center, and we have Superintendent Margaret Lynch, and we typically have a Riverside report here, but they haven't been showing up very often, and so I invited Superintendent Lynch to appear, at least on a monthly basis on behalf of Auburn Career Center, which is housed here and homed here in Concord Township, but services a significant area. So, welcome, thank you.
And thank you very much as a trustees to welcome one of your jewels in the crown of success of Concord Township. And so we're very happy to be here. And we will be doing an agenda that will continue as long as we can, that will provide the citizens not only a sense of who Auburn is, who we serve, but also featuring some of the programs that we have had, even partnerships with Concord Township. Your Horticultural Society has been very generous to our landscaping program as well. So first of all, I did want to mention not only who we are, but where we are. So I'm going to start with the where. We're located at 8140 Auburn Road, which is at the intersection of Auburn and Girdled Road. We are on the south right side of the street, the southwest corner, and we do occupy more than one building there. Going south on Auburn, on the right-hand side, you will see a beautiful canopy, and that is the high school. On the opposite side, there's a glass building, which is called the Technology Learning Center, and there's a little house that our students remodeled that is also the high school emergency medical service program. If you would go around the corner on Girdled Road, right before that, you'd see our newest building, which was the Industrial Technology Building. It still has no name on it, but we will get there eventually. But it was actually an effort for us to keep up with the job demand for manufacturing and heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. So we now go down and turn toward the west on Girdled Road, and you will find a beautiful horticulture building there. If you drive back, you'll see that there's 2 greenhouses, a poly house for annual plants, and they have probably the most phenomenal poinsettia and spring plant sale that you could ever have. So I wanted to just kind of mention our location. We are the oldest career and technical center in the state of Ohio. We were founded by a resolution of Lake County Educational Service Center in 1962 with the then Superintendent Henry Lamuth. You might recognize that name in the community in the educational circle. That vision of having career and technical education has been duplicated 48 additional times. So there are 49 career centers strategically located in regional areas so that we do not overlap one another. So we service Lake and Geauga County. So our campus was constructed on land donated by Diamond Shamrock, and that land had its first building constructed in 1965. So we have had buildings there for 52 years, so we're happy to do that and be present. We do realize, because we serve a limited number of students, many of the residents may not be fully aware of our program, but we are a half-day, 2-year program. Students used to come just in junior year and senior year, and because of the initiation of College Credit Plus, we now also take 10th and 11th graders, and those students can also take advantage of College Credit Plus or finish their high school requirements and enter the workforce. There's 23 different programs for high school, and our firefighter programs, our paramedic EMS, and 6 additional skill programs are part of our adult workforce. We do have a practical nursing program that has now celebrated over 5 years. Our mission is to provide innovative career and technical education that empowers all learners to excel in the emerging workplace and to enrich their community. As a result, Auburn has lots of partners, because to enrich the community, we partner with organizations such as your own community, Leadership Lake County, the Y, we partner with businesses, and that helps all of our students to get real-world experiences so that they have so much more to add to their resume when they are combining work and education or simply entering the workplace. Our students are very happy to come to Auburn. They have to be admitted. It is not an automatic yes. They have to meet academic standards, and they have to go through an interview process, which is happening tonight at our school. And so after they are interviewed by the program teacher and the enrollment specialist with their parents, they may have an opportunity to come to our program. The process seems formal, but to be honest, only 20 students are allowed in each of the programs. So we do have a limited opportunity. We're very grateful for the support of Concord Township that has helped us. We are definitely trying to continue to serve the community and our neighbors and provide quality education to develop the workforce in this state when we have a retiring workforce and we do not have enough individuals to fill the jobs for the expanding economy. So I am very grateful to be here, and I look forward to having a little monthly update for the residents so that they too can appreciate all that we are doing. If you have any quick questions, glad to answer them.
Thank you very much for being here. Please continue to come. The businesses that you work with, can you mention a few of those? Are you allowed to?
Oh, certainly. We're very fortunate. We have almost 600 businesses, so we're probably not only dealing with your fire department, Tri-Point Hospitals, we're dealing with Avery Dennison, Steris, Kennametal, Swagelock. I could go on. It is a very important part of our students to be able to have that work-based experience. 3 years ago, we started internships. We started with 32. This year, for first semester alone, we had over 72 students placed in companies that are in the area.
That's great.
My thoughts were is we just had a fairly big election coming up, and there's a lot of discussion about the changing of the economy and what needs to get the country working again. It only thought of Auburn Career Center because of the retooling and other retraining. Basically making kids career ready is going on right here in our community, and I thought that we should be acknowledging that, but B, working more closely with those things. And there, again, we mentioned earlier before how Stormwater was a partner of Concord Township. Auburn Career Center, the school systems are partners of Concord Township, and so at least would like to give them a forum of making sure that they're heard out there in our community and they're appreciated. And so we appreciate you being here.
And thank you so much for this opportunity.
Audience, anybody in the audience? Come on up.
My name is Ron Call, live at 12355 Little Road, 44077. Last meeting, I commented about the fire department. I want to correct it. They had an accident on the corner where I live, and they've had them there quite often recently, and some people I think have been killed there too. And I commented why the fire department didn't show up there. It took them 20 minutes to go 1 mile. I could have walked that far in that length of time. The reason they didn't get there was because somebody had turned in Route 86 and Girdle Road as being the accident site. It wasn't. They got mixed up. 608 and 86 are different roads. And it's not the fault of the fire department. It was somebody turned in the wrong road. Also, I want to thank the service department because they put up a snow barrier for my mailbox, which we needed badly there. And also, I'm here because my taxes went way up.
Sure.
So that's the main reason, other than thank these other people. One thing, and maybe you guys can straighten me out on this, but one thing is the fact that I seem to think I'm paying for two entities twice. I pay, like, for example, the sheriff's department. It turned, I think he was included with the fire department.
We have a safety forces levy that is combined, that those monies are used for the sheriff's department and the fire department.
Okay, did we vote for the sheriff's department then?
We did. We had one levy on, and I guess that would occur. That would not occur until the next cycle.
Last year. So originally you had a sheriff's levy by itself. As soon as this other levy, this combined levy passed, they rescinded it last year. So
that would show up on your tax rolls of what year? That would show up the second half of
No, it showed,
15.
it showed, yes.
Second half of what year?
Second half of 15.
Last year
Or
was
16,
the,
I'm sorry,
last year was
16.
16, but last year was the first year that we received revenue from that. So it was billed last year and it was billed this year,
Did
the
it-
combined levy, but the police protection levy was not.
Did it pass the first time if it was on the ballot separate from the
Yes.
fire department? It did pass.
Absolutely.
And that was approximately 5 years ago.
It was before that, is it passed and then
It was renewed,
it was renewed, and then we
rescinded it.
rolled it in with a safety service levy with the fire department and rescinded the original sheriff's levy.
So the levy for the fire department went up 1 mil? Is that what happened?
No, it didn't
No.
go up. We just, well, yes, that's correct. We combined the 2 mil, we combined the 2 mil
And the 1 mil,
and the 1 mil. So we created there was a 4 mil safety service levy that was passed. And we then rescinded the 2 separate levies, a fire levy and a sheriff, that totaled 3 mils.
So then we ended up voting for 1 mil for the sheriff's
An
department.
an additional.
And
Additional.
Well, yes, the safety service levy was
Okay,
an
how much
addition.
was it for the fire department then?
It was 2 mils.
Okay, so it was a total of 3.
It was a total of 3, so 1 for the sheriff, 2 for the fire department. Residents voted for a 4 mil safety service levy, which was basically combining those 2. We then rescinded the 2 and the 1 and got rid of them.
So you eliminated 1 mil.
So we
No,
eliminated 3.
We made an additional mill.
eliminated 3 and you voted for 4.
That's it.
How come you didn't put the sheriff separate from the fire department
It was,
on
and
this last one?
No,
no,
no.
it had been previously.
Right, it
And-
wasn't on the last one though.
No, correct, it was a safety service levy. We combined the 2 into 1.
Okay, well, like most people, I don't pay too much attention to my real estate taxes, so this last time I did, they went up over $300 at one shot. That's crazy for something like that to happen. So I talked to somebody here, and part of the reason is people, when they vote for millage, and I didn't know this, they vote for levies and stuff like that. If they vote for a levy after the year 2015, if you look on your real estate tax bill, there's a credit. You don't get a credit for those levies anymore. So eventually, there will be no more credits on your tax bill.
Well, you do if it's a renewal.
If it's a renewal, but if you ask for a new levy, it's not. You don't get a credit.
That's correct.
Correct.
Yeah, so our taxes are going to double here probably in the next 10 years. And it's not your fault, it's just.
Well, here's the, and Chris, please correct me if I'm wrong here, but the philosophy, I think, of the state of Ohio recently, coming from the governor's office, is that they attempted and started to reduce our state taxes, okay, meaning what we pay in our personal income taxes. What they've also did is they reduced all monies that were going to local governments like Concord Township or like the city of Painesville or like the city of Mentor. And their philosophy is we're going to reduce your taxes. So they meet that that pledge. But then they're saying what we're doing is we're putting the power back with the local residents to see how you want to spend your money, and you choose to either raise your property taxes or your levies or not. And I believe they think that provide, and I think it does. It provides you a better control of what is going on locally in your community and how those dollars and cents are spent. So I guess the only thing I would ask if you do is take a look at your state taxes and see how your state income taxes have either gone down or up over the years, and if they compare to what has went up on your local taxes.
Yeah. The only thing is, and I get a kick out of this, the governor brags about balancing the budget. Well, you know how he balanced the budget. Most people don't know how he did it.
I do.
You do? Okay. It's kind of sad because of the fact that the people are paying for this balanced budget are the people that own real estate. And that's how he balanced the budget.
Well, not only did they balance the budget by on residents' tax, but they balance the budget by gathering money from the federal government as well. And so the question becomes, Chris, please stop me if I go on too much, but
You know,
if the federal government has a balanced budget, and they say, well, geez, every governor who runs for the president of the United States says, well, I balance my budget. Well, A, they have to balance their budgets, and B, they balance the budgets by taking money from the federal government.
Well, in part.
Well, they took it from us, too.
I think you're on
I said
to,
you could say something.
you're on to something as it relates to the philosophy that prevails right now in Columbus, which is for the last 30, 40 years, between the local government fund and the various credits that have been placed on there as it relates to your property taxes, it's not that there's a credit, it's that the state was picking up that portion that was therefore artificially lowering your real estate taxes. So I think the philosophy in Columbus was, we are going to, A, balance our budget, B, we're going to do it by reducing how much we are collecting from and kicking back to local governments. And we're also going to get rid of things like these credits that, and I think the theory behind this is they want people to know and understand exactly how much local government costs. Because for a long time, people, I think, have a tendency to not understand what true costs of goods and services at the local level cost, because the state government was underwriting much of those costs through the local government fund and through local property tax credits like you've referenced on your bill. So I think Columbus has made the decision, well, we're going to pull back on that, and yes, it'll help our state budget and allow us to lower income taxes, but we're also then pushing it back to the local communities and say, you want to do these things with your local, these levies, we're not going to pick up the tab on it. If you're going to buy it, you're going to pay the full freight. I mean, I think that's the philosophy of what they're doing and why they're doing it. As it relates to, what we're doing in Concord, we have always tried to be very cognizant of that credit, its availability. After it was passed a number of years ago, we intentionally passed a couple levies as renewals and kept it in place.
You knew about that credit?
Oh, we did. We intentionally passed levies as renewals to keep that in place to make sure that people got it as a credit. When we had our road department issue this fall, the existing portion was actually done as a renewal with an additional amount added on of 0.3. So the 1.7 that was in place previously renewed as a renewal, keeping the credit for that 1.7, and we asked for an additional amount. Well, why did you ask for an additional amount? And that hasn't gone into effect yet, so you're not seeing that. It's, but here's what I would ask you. I mean, I can ask this of everybody in the room. I mean, Frank has talked about what he's doing in terms of plowing, road construction, and everything else that has to go on. And we obviously are forced to deal with the only thing is that the townships are required to do is maintain the roads.
Yes.
Connie's always telling us that.
Yes,
So,
yes.
in order to do that, I mean, I would say that 1.7 mil, when was that originally passed?
Oh, dear.
Before you were a trustee, right, Connie?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
So 30 years ago. It's
yeah.
been 1.7 mils
And-
forever.
And the mileage, road mileage went up, and it's 150 road miles now. Lane miles, I'm sorry, lane miles.
So our mileage, how much road we're taking care of has gone up. Our millage had stayed the same for 30-something years.
Yeah.
I would say to somebody, anyone, name me something even just in the last decade that's gone down in price for you.
I'll give you one.
Yeah.
You were talking about, they lowered the state income tax. You mentioned that.
Sure.
All right, that was nice for people who have 10 kids. That's great. They don't pay any income tax, state income tax. In fact, they probably don't pay any federal income tax. But you know who's picking up that? You just mentioned it. We're paid for that sort of thing. It's not fair because you nail everybody with your levies, whereas the state gives all these give-backs, earned income credits, child care credits, all this stuff.
Well, I would disagree with that actually to a degree. I have seen I have a small business, I'm a sole proprietor LLC, and I have seen my state income taxes go down dramatically.
Well, yeah.
So
The state-
but I don't have 10 kids,
Yeah.
and I'm not getting
Well,
lots of
neither do
credits.
but they went down.
Sure.
I saved $100.
But I'm also a property owner, so I pay property taxes just like you
Yeah.
do.
And my property taxes went up 300.
And mine have gone up as well. I would say what you're looking at on your bill, though, is predominantly several school levies
Yeah.
that have passed. Lakeland levy bond issue that was passed over a year ago. Metro Parks had an issue that was passed. I think the increase that you're talking about right now, the vast majority of it has been at county and school level issues that have been passed by the public.
Yeah.
And I think that's the other thing I want to just point out is that when you talk about whether it's a Lakeland bond issue, Riverside issue, Adams Board renewal, there's been a whole lot of them, increases included, is that at the end of the day, every single voter is making the decision on those levies. And they're either voting them up or they're voting them down.
You know, I used to do income tax, and people would come in every year and ask, they say, I voted for a levy, or no, they said my real estate taxes went up. Do you have any reason why my taxes went up? And I said, well, you vote for any levies. Yeah, but what's that got to do with my real estate taxes?
Yeah, yeah.
It's
That's right.
unbelievable, and these are intelligent people.
But it's because they don't get, and if they have a mortgage, they don't see the
Yeah.
tax bill.
Yeah,
They don't understand
That's
what's
right.
done.
That's right. Yeah, I have one last question. Sure. Last meeting, I asked about why the sheriff doesn't show up for a lot of these accidents over on 608. And you said, well, if it's a state highway, the highway patrol comes, and if it's on a county highway, the sheriff shows up. Well, 2 accidents that I actually saw, one fellow was killed, and that was sad. His motorcycle ended up over on Grudel Road, and he ended up over on 608.
Yeah.
Now, who comes for that kind of thing?
Well,
It's a fatality.
yeah, I mean, usually what they do, there's a little button. The first that can respond will respond. They hit the little button, emergency services are sent out. The sheriff can respond, but generally, the Ohio State Patrol will take lead on all fatalities. They just do, okay? They had the crash investigation, even though the sheriff's department does it, the Ohio State Patrol just takes the lead. And I'm not sure if that's intergovernmental decision that they made or there's an Ohio Revised Code statute. I just know that that's what generally happens. You know, you asked why we had that combined levy at one, why we put the two together. You know, the sheriff's department and our fire department work extremely well together, but they do depend on each other. Sometimes fire department needs the sheriff there for whatever reason, you know, control of the scene or control of the roadway, and then sometimes the sheriff's department needs our fire department there because of injuries and on what they deal with. The two kind of coexisted, and so that's why we put them together. But why on that particular accident, I can't tell you.
I've never seen the sheriff up there for these accidents. It's always a state.
Well, I think 2 things. One, it's the first one that can respond. So when the 911 call goes out, it goes to all those agencies, and the first one, for whatever reason, the Highway Patrol may or may not be the first one to be able to respond. The other factor is because if it's happening on 608, that's a state route, and I'm not sure, it may default to the Highway Patrol. Unfortunately, Lieutenant Sherwood's gone, and he could have been the one to answer that for us.
Quite often, they end up pushed over on a telephone pole on my property, which is on Grudel Road. So the state patrol, it might have happened on the 608, but they end up with a wreckage over on Grudel Road.
Yeah.
Well, where the wreckage ends up stopping and coming to rest, I don't think is the determiner of. Usually if it's on a state route
Yeah.
or a federal highway, it's going to be Highway Patrol. They will call in the sheriff to help out on like say on I-90
Yeah.
to assist with if there's enough accidents and things of that nature.
Yeah. You know, that intersection you're talking about here over on Auburn Road and 44? You know what they could do to solve all that? I used to drive that for 30 years back and forth, twice to 4 times a day. And I did see accidents there. Most of the problem with the accidents were that's a long crossing there.
Yep.
And people coming down would get the green light from Chardon doing 80 miles an hour. And these people are still trying to get across the intersection, and that's usually what happened. Why couldn't they tear down all that forest of lights over there they got now? Because most people are trying to go down and over the hill, and the road ends, which is a joke. I've seen them go around Red Hawk, or Red Cap, or whatever the name of that place is, Red Hawk Grill. They go in there, turn around, and go back again. I've seen them drive over those plastic posts sticking up. I mean, it's a joke. It's a mess up there. You know, they screwed that up worse now than what it was before.
I don't think that'll be the case once there's proper full signage in place and people get used to the traffic pattern.
You know, all
I
the
think
signs
people
are
have a
already
tendency right now to be forgetting about how they didn't like the previous intersection.
Or how backed
And how backed
it
up
was in
it
the morning,
was.
you know.
Yeah, how, did the trustees have something to do with that?
Oh, it was our project, but the design was pushed by ODOT.
That was their idea? Have you gone up on Hermitage Road also in Pinecrest?
Yes,
Have you seen that?
yes.
What do you think of that?
Well, that's the county, and it's one of the issues that I'm gonna be talking with Stormwater about is originally, there was a stormwater issue over there that prompted me to get over there, and then the guy took me out there and made me sit there for about 25 minutes and watch, the activity over on that, I don't wanna call it a corner, but that intersection, so.
You know, you have to double back to make the turn.
Sure.
Your car goes over in the other lane in order to stay on the road. That's crazy. And then down on the other end of that, where Hermitage and Girdle come together, they don't have to stop coming up.
That's right.
And you're sitting there at a traffic, or a stop sign, and they're trying to not go in the mud on that turn, so they're driving over where you're sitting. That's always interesting there. If you want to get a thrill, stop at that stop sign sometime.
Just over there driving both those routes, so, and with the gentleman inside my car, so.
Did anybody say anything about that?
No, that's why we were doing that. He wanted to take me, he wanted to make sure that I experience the same things he experiences, which I've obviously done in the past, but it did that day as well, so.
Yeah, it's interesting. Thank you.
Thank you.
There's a pretty good chance they're going to put a stop sign in Greenville.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna move to new business, January financial reports,
Our tables.
okay? How about the professional services for SBJ?
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to approve a on-call professional services agreement with SBJ Consulting at a rate of $125 an hour for the calendar year of 2016.
17.
I'm sorry, 2017. What year is it?
17.
Okay, I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Concord Ridge RCD subdivision Phase 5 streetlight request.
Ooh,
They're requesting 3 lights to an already existing street lighting district.
Mr. Summers is here, so if he wants to speak on that. I saw you in the audience, I knew that you were coming up, so.
Thank you. Basically, we're extending Crossroads to the east as part of the previously approved Concord Ridge Development Plan. The lighting plan is similar to lights in the other subdivision, far enough space with top caps to downlight.
How many lights now? These are
3.
3?
Yeah, the last phase had 6, so he's got
Oh.
half the amount of lights in this phase.
that's good. Is the phase smaller?
I hate lights, I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay. I hate lights too, and I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Say aye.
Aye. Reluctantly, aye.
Connie and I could have abstained, you could have passed with a vote of 1.
I believe lights are
I know.
innovations.
The residents like
Progress.
them.
How about resolution 2017-04?
I can move to approve that. Resolution authorizing the notification of intent to conduct an internet auction for the sale of unneeded, obsolete, or unfit personal property of Concord Township for the year 2017. It's Resolution 2017-04.
I will second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
How about resolution 2017-05 declaring certain personal property of Concord Township Fire Department as not needed for the public purpose and obsolete, and improving the sale of this property by internet-based auction.
I'll move that we approve that.
I will second it.
All in favor, say aye.
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 And we've all signed the purchase
I
agreement?
think we did that.
Here we go.
Office
After
hours.
that.
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to extend the conditional offer of employment as a part-time firefighter pending background check and physicals to Jesse Selby
Second that, Kelly?
as a paramedic.
Yes, I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Mr. Chairman, I would make a conditional offer of employment as a part-time firefighter, EMTB, pending background check and physicals for Zachary Gartner.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I do have a question. Do these have Chief, do we have a
A date?
date on these? Or is that still up in the air?
It's just a conditional offer, so we can send them for physicals and background check, and then they'll get a start date after that.
Bingo, okay. Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to extend a conditional offer as a part-time firefighter EMTB pending employment, background check, and physical for Daniel Green.
Second, County?
Yes? Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to extend conditional offer of employment as a part-time firefighter, EMTB, pending background check and physical to Daniel Steck.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 And if I pronounce that wrong, I apologize.
And I would move that we approve a purchase order for the fire department for scheduling software from Alidtech at a cost of $3,600.
I will second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hey, Chief, is that new software?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what did you use before?
Google,
They didn't.
so it had no analytics or no
That's
way to draw data.
what I was wondering. Thank you very much. No, that's great.
Send that all over.
We got one more fire, or
Okay.
pay increase.
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to provide a pay increase to full-time firefighter paramedic Richard Shepard per the contract effective February 5th, 2017.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, approved at staff meeting yesterday, January 31st on 2017, was the recognized ODOT change order 9-13 for Auburn Career Corridor Project.
There were several change orders, Mr. Chairman, 9 through 13.
9 through 13.
I believe we had another one today that I would point out that we also acknowledged. That
Okay.
our administrator sent along.
Yep.
Approve, okay, and we did sign the Mylars. I think I signed 2 Mylars, both on Mountainside Farm subdivision phase 4C and Lake Auburn Crowd Connector Road sewer installation approval. Future meetings and announcements, Tuesday, February 7th at 7 p.m., the zoning commission meeting at Town Hall. Wednesday, February 8th at 7 p.m., the Board of Zoning Appeals meeting in Town Hall. Wednesday, February 15th at 6:30, we will have the trustees' office hours here in Town Hall, and at 7:30, the trustees' meeting in Town Hall. Friday, February 17th at 9 a.m. is a strategic plan meeting in Concord Community Center. I have to run out at 11 o'clock, Kathy.
Oh,
Just letting you know.
okay.
Is
Can't
that
help
like
it.
permanently for the rest of the day?
No, just for like, a plea hearing, and I'll be back.
Okay.
Okay. You know.
And then Monday, February 20th, that we will be closed in observance of President's Day. So, anything for the good of the order?
Happy Township Day.
Happy Township Day.
Right.
Thank you.
I thought you were going to say another.